grams of sugar, 30 grams of cocoa powder. He also added agar-agar, but I feel like we should add it later. Before we move on to the stove, we'll measure out 7 grams of it. On medium-low heat, we'll start whisking everything together. Once it comes to a simmer, we'll add in the agar-agar. By the time I post this video, it's definitely going to be past December 11th. Just so you guys don't accuse me of using expired products, I'll show you today's date. Anyways, we'll put this in the fridge and rest overnight. The cocoa powder sprinkle is kind of aggressive. I liked it though. It's been about 12 hours. It looks really jiggly. It doesn't look as smooth as his. Maybe it's the container's fault. Also, the structural integrity doesn't feel as sturdy either. So let's top it off with cocoa powder, give it a taste, and rate 1 through 10. I mean, it's chocolate and sugar, so it doesn't taste bad, but the granular texture confuses me a lot. Do you see all these little spots? Maybe I didn't mix it thoroughly enough, or maybe I added the agar-agar too late. This recipe is super simple, and I see a lot of potential, so we'll be trying it again. But my execution today will be a 6 out of 10. I saw this recipe on Patrick's account. He calls it the eclair cake.
So easy to make and it only takes 5 ingredients. Oh my, can't get enough of that cream.
It's basically a custard filling with a chocolate covered top. Eclairs are pretty difficult to make. I guess this is like an easier way to get around it. And check out this transition. Do you think it was smooth? So to 6 eggs, we'll add a cup of sugar. And then 4 cups of milk, which I don't have, so 2 cups of heavy cream and 2 cups of water. Give it a quick whisk, pour into a pot, put it on medium-low heat, and continuously stir it. According to his instructions, it should thicken up in about 5 minutes or so. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes. I feel like scrambled eggs is gonna come out before it turns into a custard. So we're gonna use a little cheat by adding in some milk. Just kidding, it's cornstarch slurry. It should thicken up the sauce instantly. Gonna run it through a sieve real quick in case we created any egg lumps. Then we'll cover the top with plastic wrap and let it completely cool. In case you forgot, this is the vegan, gluten-free, pre-made pie crust we got from Trader Joe's last time. Now all we have to do is just to finish a finish the eclair cake. You can just use melted chocolate on top, but I'm using the leftover truffle mixture from earlier, cause you know I don't waste food. I'm gonna spread it out evenly and stab the spatula into your heart and let it cool overnight. It's the next day now. As you can see, the pie is fully set. Somebody took a piece from me late night last night when he was hungry, but don't ask me who it is. Looking at this, I'm slowly realizing that maybe the Boston cream pie and the Boston cream donut is just failed attempts at eclairs. Further affirming my belief that people don't want to eat new food. They just want to eat the same old food in different formats. Let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. As you can probably assume, after taking that bite, the bottom half of my face is covered with... I would show you the money shot, but I feel like I saw my face reveal a couple months ago. I'll save it for now. Overall, it has very good and balanced flavors. I didn't spit that thing out. My face was covered with custard and a piece of it fell. All you have to do to make this cake is to make the custard, and it's pretty simple, so I'll give it an 8.7 out of 10. Identifies as a cake, but this one is an actual cake. It claims to be the moistest chocolate cake of all time, and it's super easy to make. I'll be reading through the ingredients pretty fast, so pay attention. 130 grams of flour, 200 grams of sugar, 65 grams of cocoa powder, 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder, a key bump of baking soda, an egg, 60 milliliters of oil, 130 milliliters of milk. I don't have milk, so I'm doing half heavy cream, half water. Finally, some warm water. I'm afraid that's gonna cook the egg, so I'll whisk it a little bit. A teaspoon of instant coffee and a teaspoon of dessert MSG. Pour into a baking dish and into the oven at 300 for 25 minutes with cream. You don't have to mix it immediately. If you let it It's the heavy cream and water situation. Again, doesn't have any structural integrity, but it definitely tastes amazing with a ganache on top, so I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's December, hot chocolate season, but not just any hot chocolate, Mexican hot chocolate. Starting with this Cortez spiced chocolate with cinnamon in it. A lot of you in the comments told me the hack that if you cut chocolate with a serrated knife, it doesn't fly everywhere. And it seems like it's true. I guess the comment section can do much more than just roasting me till I cry. So this is 5 ounces of chocolate. We're gonna do half a cup of milk and half a cup of heavy cream. Bring to a simmer while mixing constantly. Finally, to enhance the flavor, we'll add a tablespoon of instant coffee. The mug is kind of dirty, don't ask me why. But look how thick it is. It would be ideal to top it off with some whipped cream, but I don't feel like beating it on the couch right now, so let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. Incredibly rich, smooth, and satisfying. The chocolate and the dairy works really well with the spices added into it. I think Mexican chocolate is gonna be a staple in my diet from now. 9 out of 10. You can use this ratio for any chocolate you have too. This is a no-bake dessert, which is my favorite type of dessert. My quick and easy nature combined with my NPC brain prevents me from delaying gratification. If I'm craving something sweet, it has to be put together instantly. We'll use a cup of peanut butter. Are you impressed that that's the real thing, not the processed one? And then a third of a cup of maple syrup, a fourth of a cup of butter, room temp or melted, splash of dessert MSG, and mix everything together till smooth like this. And then 2 cups of almond flour. A lot of nuts in this one. I guess the more the merrier. We'll fold in the almond flour along with some chocolate chips. And that's basically the filling. Put that in a container aligned with parchment paper. Smooth it out. Put this in the fridge for like 30 minutes. But I'm just gonna put it in the freezer for 5. While waiting for it to set, we'll quickly melt a cup of chocolate and glaze it over the top. Make sure you spread it evenly across the whole surface. Gluten-free, no bake, and vegan. I kind of feel like an upper middle class American.
Later.
I have pretty high hopes for this one as I'm a big fan of peanut butter. Kinda looks like a part of a giant Reese's cup. Now let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. It's even better. It's not overwhelmingly sweet like Reese's. The chocolate on top has a lot of crunchiness that balance well with the gooey nature of the peanut butter filling. I was a little worried about the almond flour being a little granular, but it's completely smooth. You can't even taste it as the peanut butter is really powerful. Just so you know, this is really dangerous because I'm getting the urge to eat this whole thing right now. I'll give it a 9.3 out of 10. If you're thinking the recipes today are kind of difficult, think no more because this is the easiest one ever. Starting with 4.5 ounces of chocolate and 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream. Bring it over to the stove on medium-low and start mixing and melting. When it's nice and smooth like this, we'll transfer it to a container and put it in the fridge overnight. When it's cold, we'll take out a scoop and shape it into perfect round balls. Maybe I should be using both of my hands, but I don't want to waste another glove. They're a little too soft to work with, so we're gonna put it in the freezer for 15 minutes. They're a lot less sticky when they're cold, and I forbid you guys from commenting how good I am at handling balls. We'll dust cocoa powder and roll them in it to prevent sticking. We'll dust some more to cover up the imperfections, and that's it. I didn't know chocolate truffles are this low effort. Why am I paying so much for them at the store? Usually I put the whole ball into my mouth, but I'll just take a small bite to show you guys the cross section. Don't inhale while taking a bite because you might choke on the cocoa powder. Don't ask me how I found out. It's smooth, rich, and velvety. I'm still impressed by how easy it was. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. You should definitely make this for Christmas. We made brigadeiro last week for the family recipe video, and it was a disaster. So we're back at it again with an improved version. Starting with 15 grams of butter, 30 grams of cocoa powder, and a whole can of condensed milk. We'll put it on the stove on medium-low to heat it up and mix thoroughly. I've had this non-stick pan for a week now, but I'm still mind blown every time I use it. Did you know that nothing sticks when you use non-stick pan? After it's heated through, we'll put it in a container and let it cool for 2 hours. While waiting, we'll trim out some strawberries. I think usually brigadeiros are balls with chocolate sprinkles. Since I forgot to get it, we're gonna just wrap the brigadeiro around the strawberry to make it like a stuffed ball. After cooling it, it should be much more pliable since the cocoa powder has some starch content that will thicken it up. But this is not looking good right now. How do people in those videos work with this so easily? This is way too sticky to work with. I think I'm gonna get a new pair of gloves and put some oil on it. Alright, this feels much better. So we'll take a decent amount, roll it into a ball, flatten it, and try to wrap a strawberry around it. It gets even more difficult when the oil gets on the strawberry, so it's too slippery to be wrapped. I wonder if you're from Brazil and watching this, are you getting triggered right now? But the second ball is starting to stick again, so I'm done. I'm just gonna eat these strawberries. So what do you think of my strawberry stuffed brigadeiro? It's a very romantic dessert. You should make this for your significant others for Valentine's Day. Let's cut it open and check out the cross section.
A Fernandez cannot marry a Fernandez.
Looks pretty good, so why don't we give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. I mean, the only other brigadeiro I've ever had looks like this, so I think overall it's pretty great. I drank condensed milk like it's normal milk. Of course I'll finish it. Needless to say, I didn't make it right, so if you're an expert of the cuisine, why don't you send me some videos so I can give it another try. Every great video ends with a good nut. As you guys already know, my favorite nut is the donut, my second favorite nut is coconut, third cashew, and fourth hazelnut. This is half a pound of it. We're gonna throw it in a 350-degree oven and roast it for 20 minutes or so. After they're completely cool, put it in the food processor. I think the nuts are whispering to us. Listen. Do you hear the subtle crackling? Why is that? And then a cup of powdered sugar, 5 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 2 tablespoons of oil, a pinch of salt, and as much chocolate as you want. It's been running for a really long time. The machine's overheating. It's a little old, and this is as fine as it can get. It looks a little granular, but I don't think you'll be able to taste it. At any point of the blending process, if your machine starts giving you a hard time, just put in more oil to thin it out. So once again, we've made homemade Nutella, or as you guys would call it, prehistoric cheese pull. Last but not least, let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. Super easy, foolproof, great texture and flavor. I think we should be able to keep it for 3 weeks or so. I really enjoyed making these chocolate recipes. I hope you try some of these out. It's a great way to increase your dopamine levels. If you're already hopped up on sugar, you can watch my older videos to produce some serotonin. Alright, thank you.
You're watching a toothbrush play Billie Eilish. But did you know that there's a YouTube Music app where you can also listen to the EDM version, the ska version, and a...
Dealing with radioactive chicken doesn't sound like a good idea this week. So instead, we're gonna make something wholesome. Today I'm gonna show you 5 uniquely different and internet viral methods of making grilled cheese so you are prepared for every occasion. Let's get started. Our first recipe is also the most controversial grilled cheese recipe in human history. It is the infamous Gordon Ramsay grilled cheese, aka the real idiot sandwich. Not only is the comment section more ruthless than my Instagram, Moist Critical even made a dedicated video to roast him. I want to give Gordon the benefit of the doubt, so today we'll recreate it and rate it 1 through 10. So let's follow the video and prepare the ingredients.
These incredible cheeses. A Romano with pepperberry and Asiago.
That's such a cute face he just made. Looks like he's about to call them onichan. I was planning on using raclette, but I want to be as fair as possible. So I went out to the store and got the same cheeses that he used, which are Asiago and Romano. Also, this Asiago does not have mold on it. This is just herbs that they use for flavoring. My Romano, on the other hand, has been in my fridge for about 2 months and is looking a little brown. I'm not an expert on all things dairy, but this cheese feels harder than a classroom would. So I'm questioning its ability to melt.
I'm going to just cut nice big long slices so I can take off the rind easily.
So we'll start by cutting nice big lump slices so we can take off the rind easily.
The thing about a great grilled cheese is to make sure the bread it's not too thin.
Now we'll cut 2 slices of bread, making sure it's not too thin.
A little bit of butter, okay? And always butter heavily on the outside.
And now a little bit of butter, and I should have left the butter outside in advance.
Season the outside with some salt.
Alright, this cold butter is way too hard to work with, so I'm gonna use this garlic butter we made a couple days ago. Give it some extra flavor, and look how smooth it is.
Smooth like butter.
Layer your cheese.
Now we're layering the cheese just like Legos, not because we're playing with shapes, but because they feel like plastic.
The secret behind this grilled cheese is a little bit of kimchi.
It might sound a little weird on paper, but I really believe that kimchi tastes good with everything, except for chocolate.
Fold that over, and then from there, push that down.
Fold that over, and from here, we'll press it down. Great, my hand is now oily for no reason.
We're gonna stick that in the oven. Look, a beautiful fireplace over there.
Now we'll move this over to my beautiful stove.
Nice and warm. Touch of olive oil in. Beautiful.
When the pan's nice and warm, a touch of vegetable oil in. Beautiful.
And in she goes.
And now there she goes.
Just pushing that down.
I'll take my spatula and start pushing it down.
Hiya! Turn that over. Push that down.
Now we'll turn this over. Sorry if the splatter got on your face. We're gonna push it down again.
2 minutes each side. And then once you've coloured both sides back out, it helps to get the cheese nicely melted.
In case you can't tell, this is not a fireplace, so we're just gonna push it down with some added weight. I'm gonna use my rolling pin, but make sure you use a safe tool.
Oh my goodness me.
Alright, here we have it. It actually doesn't look that bad. Judging from the side, it looks like the cheese is nice and melted. Let's cut it open and see. Just a little weak on the cheese pull game, but the cross section is looking pretty beautiful. Alright, let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. I'm actually pretty impressed by this. Not only is the cheese pulling like John Mayer, but the texture is a lot more bouncier than the usual cheeses we use. Combined with the acidity from the kimchi and the crispy bread, I'm gonna have to give it an 8.8 out of 10. Gordon definitely didn't deserve all the hate for this recipe. Or maybe I did it wrong. Let me know in the comments. Did my inability to follow instructions lead me to a better recipe? If it is, I'll feel pretty proud of myself. Let's move on to the next one.
The best way to turn mealtime into playtime? It's always been Tyson Mega Dino and Dino Nuggets with 13 grams of protein per serving. Get yours in the freezer aisle. Always been Tyson.
I can't help but feel good. I can't help but feel fine.
Our next recipe is Adam's signature smashed brioche grilled cheese. And we're gonna use the brioche buns we made about a month ago for the Big Mac video. And don't worry, I froze it so there's no mold on it. And to reheat it perfectly, all we need to do is leave it in room temperature for about an hour and then bake at 300 for 10 minutes. While it cools, we'll get started on the video.
Cut that in half, and I'm just gonna do 1 slice of cheddar and a slice of Swiss. I don't like quite so much cheese, but you do you, friend.
Well then, I'ma do me. After cutting it in half, we'll do 2 slices of Monster because it melts the best, and a slice of Swiss in the middle, and not just any Swiss, our old friend Raclette. This is what we have left of him, and it's not getting any less stinky. I'll cut a decently thick piece of our never-ending raclette and cut out the rinds. Now we'll layer in the cheese with the raclette in the middle and move on to the stove.
Melt a little butter in the pan.
With the heat on medium-low, we'll melt a little butter in the pan.
When the butter's looking a little fizzy, I'll lay in the sandwich and on goes the brick. Really smash it in.
When the butter is getting a little fizzy, we'll put in the sandwich. It kind of looks like a plus-size ballerina here. Adam just used the brick to smash it down. I don't feel like going outside to get it, so I'm just gonna use my sauce pot and my water bottle. And to leave it there, I'm gonna use this counter to balance it. Isn't this a genius setup?
I cooked it 5 minutes on the first side, probably too long, though boy, look at that gorgeous color.
So I'm gonna cook it for 4 minutes. And for some reason it got like 10 times cuter. So we'll flip it over and admire the color.
Back with the brick again, cooking it for another 3 minutes.
We'll put the weight back on and cook for another 3 minutes.
I'm just cutting it after the cooking is over because I don't really care if my cheese oozes.
I care very much about if my cheese oozes and what other people think of me. So I'm gonna cut it open and put it back in the pan for about a minute.
It's hard to call that a mistake though because it resulted in these crackery bits of fried cheese around the edge. I'm gonna call that a happy little accident.
A happy little accident. It's a great name. My parents only refer me as the accident. But anyways, the sandwich looks great. Alright, let's get ourselves a dramatic cheese pull. Check out this cross section. I'm super excited to taste it. Time to give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. The brioche is crispy on the outside, soft and chewy on the inside, and the blend of cheese is flavorful and oozing like crazy. The only thing missing is some tomato soup, so I'll prepare some on camera. Really, nothing beats grilled cheese and homemade tomato soup. 9 out of 10. Highly recommend you guys to try it. Our next recipe is a classic grilled cheese from Epicurious.
We're talking everything you need to know to make the crispiest, crunchiest, cheesiest grilled cheese sandwich you've ever had.
I'm excited to make the crispiest, crunchiest, cheesiest grilled cheese I've ever had.
The bread that I like to use for my grilled cheese has a very tight crumb.
I'm not sure what tight crumb means, but I'm just gonna use classic white bread for some classic white food.
I have a block of Gruyere cheese. Gruyere cheese is Swiss cheese's stinkier, smellier cousin.
And I have a block of raclette, which is the stinkiest and creepiest uncle of all Swiss cheese family.
Not like this, I call that granny style. I put the grater on the side, I hold the tray and the grater together, and I push.
I've never seen anybody use that method before. It seems a lot easier and safer. Let's give it a try. 10 out of 10.
And then I'm gonna get some mayonnaise.
And then I'm gonna get some, I give a second chance to QP mayo.
It doesn't burn like butter. You brush it on the bread so that you get a nice even browning on your bread.
I wonder if mayonnaise is actually better than butter for grilled cheese. Let's test it out in a future video.
And then what I do is I take that and I put it in my pan.
So with the pan on low heat, we'll layer in our first piece of bread.
And then I'm gonna add my American cheese. So I'm gonna do about 3 slices.
Now I'll layer in my American cheese. I'll do about 2 slices.
Gruyere. The fact that the Gruyere is shredded makes it melt a little quicker.
Now we'll layer in our raclette. I just found out pre-shredded cheese have chemicals on them that prevent them from melting well.
I like to season the inside of my sandwich with salt and pepper.
I'm just gonna season it with pepper because the sodium level is a little concerning.
And then this goes on top. Make sure that you match.
And the other slice goes on top, making sure we match. We're gonna cook this for about 3 minutes.
The reason I like to do this over low heat is that it makes it more foolproof.
I think grilled cheese as a dish is pretty foolproof. Even a child can do it right. You have to be an idiot to mess it up.
So to make sure this isn't burning, I just check once in a while to see where we're at.
Let's check to see where we at. This is my new expert flipping technique I learned on TikTok. Well, I guess it's time to flip, and we're gonna cook this side for about 3 minutes.
So you'll know that your cheese is starting to melt is when you try and pull this top piece of bread off, and it sticks, right?
So as you can tell, I cut it open for a better cheese melt, and the other side is not burnt at all. Let's split it open and inspect its cheese pull.
I don't think they take that here.
Of course they take Discover. It's stuck in the past, baby.
You're the one who owns...
Let's split it open and inspect its cheese pull. Oops, not showing this side. Not as good as the last one, but pretty classy still. The cross section is looking pretty promising. The cheese is all oozing out. Now let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. Very classic flavor, and the American cheese gives it that nostalgic taste. I'm not a big fan of the mayo though. That sulfur smell is a little pungent. Also tastes kind of burnt for some reason. I'm gonna enjoy it with some tomato soup. Overall, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Definitely better than average. Our next recipe is called croque monsieur, and is a French version of grilled cheese from our favorite YouTuber, Joshua Wiseman. Just watch and follow along.
Start with 1 tablespoon of 14 grams of unsalted butter.
We're making half the recipe, so this is half a tablespoon of butter. I didn't expect it to be so little. That's what she said to me.
Add in 1 tablespoon or 12 grams of all-purpose flour.
Add in half a tablespoon of all-purpose flour.
Whisk it together and let that cook for about a minute until it begins to reach a light, nutty brown. Then whisk in 1 cup or 240 milliliters of whole milk.
It's kind of hard to work with when it's this little, so you have to do it with the right type of stroke. And once it's nice and nutty, it's probably time for the white cream.
Let that heat while stirring constantly until it begins to thicken.
I've been whisking it for quite some time now, but for some reason I can't get rid of these lumps.
Cut off the heat and stir in 1 cup or 80 grams of grated Gruyere cheese.
It's still quite lumpy, but I'm just gonna cut off the heat and add a never-ending nutmeg.
Season it to taste with salt and pepper and an optional touch of fresh grated nutmeg.
Season my spatula with salt and pepper, and I don't have any nutmeg.
For the bread, you're gonna want a nice quality country sourdough of some sort.
And we're gonna use bread from a Ziploc bag. I'm not sure if it's a sourdough, but it definitely smells a little sour.
Fill the bottom slice up with grated Gruyere cheese.
Layer the bottom slice with some raclette.
2 slices of jambon de Paris. By the way, this ham is a classic choice for this sandwich. I'm not just doing this to sound fancy.
I'm using 2 slices of jambon de Trader Joe's, and it is definitely fancy.
Top with some grated Gruyere cheese, and finally add your other slice.
More raclette on top, and finally the other slice of bread.
I'm going to spread on more unsalted softened butter.
And now we'll spread room temperature butter on one side and move over to the stove.
Pop that bad boy into a pan, set over medium heat, and let that toast for about 1 to 2 minutes.
Pop my bad boy into a pan on medium heat and toast it for 2 minutes.
Spread some more softened butter on that bread's exposed bare bottom. Flip and repeat on the other side.
Spread some more butter on the bread and expose my bare bottom. Flip the sandwich over and toast for another 2 minutes.
Anyway, once your sandwich is beautifully toasted, pop it onto a small sheet tray.
And once both sides are cooked, we'll put it on a little sheet tray.
Coat the top with your Mornay sauce. A light layer of grated Emmental cheese. Pop that under your broiler for 1 to 2 minutes.
Top it with some Mornay sauce we made earlier. It got really thick for some reason. And 1 more layer of our never-ending raclette. I promise no more raclette in this video after this. It's slowly becoming a main character on this channel. And we'll put this in the broiler for about 2 minutes.
That is a croque monsieur, if I've ever seen one.
That is my croque monsieur. I've actually never seen one before. We're gonna let it cool first and taste it in 5 minutes. Now it's cool enough that I can grab it. Visually it is looking glistening, also giving high cholesterol vibes. Definitely passes the sound check. Let's give it a cross-section inspection. Looks like a cheese-covered ham and cheese. I never made this dish before, but I assume this is a pretty good version of it. I trust Joshua with authenticity. Now let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. I really didn't know I was starving till I tasted this. I'm starting to question my life as to why I haven't heard of this dish till now. We only use 1 type of cheese for this dish, but the middle is soft and stretchy, and the top gets crispy and chewy. And the Mornay sauce acts as a binder to bring all these different levels of flavors and texture together. And the ham in the middle is just the maraschino protein cherry on top. Usually grilled cheese tastes like a sandwich, but this tastes like a whole dish. Overall, 9.5 out of 10. Highly recommend. Josh never disappoints. Our last recipe, we're using cheese instead of bread, so it's a cheese grilled cheese. The concept is really not that complicated, but we're gonna watch the original video just to be safe.
If you melt cheese in a pan for long enough, it gets really crispy. So my plan is to make a cheese crisp that I can then use as the bread in our grilled cheese sandwich.
So we'll put the pan on low heat and put 2 slices of American cheese on there to melt slowly.
I spent 15 minutes cooking this 1 piece of cheese. And you need 2 pieces of bread to make a sandwich, so I had to do it all again.
That's why we're doing 2 slices at once. Since it's gonna take us a long time, I'm just gonna leave it on low heat and go read a book. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna go scroll TikTok for 20 minutes. And here's a time lapse for you. Alright, I give up. This cleanup is gonna be a real fun time. Alright, now we have our second pan that I greased up with oil. We're gonna try the method of heating it up till it bubbles and then take it off the heat, wait for it to cool, and then put it back on the heat. We'll keep repeating the process till it looks done, like this. Let's see if we can scrape this off.
The sustainable salmon at Urban Plates is so craveable, you don't need to add a thing. Not one single... Wait, is that tzatziki sauce? Or spicy teriyaki? And hollandaise? Yes, please. Introducing new seafood sauces. Order today at Urban Plates.
Unbeatable performance! That's why I love Copper Tone Sport. It helps protect me from UV rays.
You know, I thought I can just easily unfold it, but I was wrong.
You fucked up!
But it's okay, we'll just wait for it to cool and scrape off this other piece.
Yeah!
Since we only have one slice of bread, we're gonna have to make a half grilled cheese. We'll cut the bread in half, put in our cheese slices, and here's our sandwich. With medium heat, we'll put in some oil and immediately mess up one of the sides. I think I got this now. The key to a grilled cheese is to heat it up and then let it cool in the pan so it doesn't stick. So this is what we're left with. I think it either belongs to a Michelin star restaurant or a public bathroom. Let's post it on Instagram and see what you guys think.
What's poppin'? Brand new whip, just hopped in. I got options. I can pass it like Stockton.
And as always, we gotta inspect the cheese pole and the cross section. As our last recipe of the day, we'll taste it and rate 1 through 10. Maybe because I had too much cheese today, but that did not make me feel good. The bread part got stuck on my teeth, which made the cheese taste pretty gross. But overall, it's a fun experiment, you know? So 5 out of 10. But would recommend trying. Hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new about grilled cheese. I just want to quickly mention that you can support our community by getting this apron, and the link will be in the description. For our next episode, I just want to ask you guys if you like matcha flavored stuff. Let me know in the comments. Hopefully by the time I make that video, I recover from being sick for the 4th time this year. Alright, thank you.
This morning calls for sausagey, pancakey, Jimmy Dean griddle cakes.
The most famous sandwich in the world is probably the idiot sandwich.
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
And then in 2021, Gordon made himself one. I saw a couple weeks ago, Joshua Wiseman did a sandwich tour all over the country. And since then, every night I think about him. I mean his food. I don't have that type of budget, so today we'll try to make some of these iconic American sandwiches at home. All the recipes I'm using are the most viewed ones on the internet, because as always, more views means better quality. The first recipe has got to be the PB&J. There's nothing more American than extremely unbalanced dessert for lunch. I didn't even get PB&J for high school. I was always given a tuna wrap. That's why nobody wanted to sit with me. But the real catch of this recipe is that I'm making homemade jam with a pound of strawberries and 12 ounces of sugar and a splash of vinegar because I don't have lemon. We're gonna first let the sugar sit with the fruit in the pan for about 8 minutes. This process is called macerate. And then we'll put it on the stove on medium heat and slowly let it reduce to a syrup. I don't have a masher because I don't believe in single-purpose kitchen tools. Plus I have the best masher of all time, the Ligma fork. You might have noticed that you've been seeing it less lately. That's because I think it's breaking. But once it's spitting out white bubbles on top, we'll pour it into a mason jar. We'll set it aside and let it cool for now. I've never made peanut butter, but I assume it's just blended up peanuts. I have a container of these planters, so I'm just pouring into a food processor. And to make the more plentiful, I'm gonna add a fistful of hazelnut and a squeeze of honey. I'll teach you two methods of buttering your nut. The first one is aggressively pulsing back and forth. I named it beating to the beat. And the second method is when you tilt it a little bit, the centripetal force of the blade is gonna swing itself back and forth. I call it the motion of the ocean. I prefer this method because you do less work, and it's pretty bad at any point it gets dry, so you gotta oil it up. Also, maple syrup can enhance the experience as well. Something doesn't look right here. Why is it so granular like that? Maybe because my food processor is not powerful. I guess we just have to deal with it. Kinda looks like slushy. Now we got the two most important components, homemade. Let's start. We got the unevenly sliced brioche. I heard that the best ones have peanut butter on both sides and jam stuffed in the middle. So for the second piece of bread, I'm gonna use my roommate's peanut butter. I don't think he'll notice. Okay, it's a new jar, so he'll definitely notice. But I'm gonna just use a little bit since I'm already committed. Oh, that's a good stuff. The spread's so much better than the one. Now I'll teach you a smart trick to use your roommate's stuff in secret. So just take a little bit of the granular peanut slushy thing and put it into the jar. Press it down a little bit and close the lid with the paper on top. Now it seems like an appropriate time to play that trending TikTok sound.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know. How would they know? I
think I sealed the mason jar too early. It's pretty hard to open. I don't want to get sticky, so I'm gonna try my best to not get the jam everywhere. Well, that was pretty easy. That just looks so much better than the store-bought ones. Can't say the same thing about the peanut butter though. Just close it together. I'm gonna rub it a little bit so the jam gets into the corners, and you have to toast it for it to be good. My butter seems to have some type of toxic waste on it. Let's put a little pressure on it. Okay, it ain't ready. I just realized the sound travels slower than the speed of light with this camera. You see what I'm talking about? It's kind of delayed. Let's do a showcase of the cross section, looking super gourmet. Besides the bread, I made everything else. We'll make our own bread a little later. Let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. It tastes like a fancy Uncrustable, which is my favorite snack. Super loaded, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10.
It doesn't take much to go from calm to chaos. But when life happens, with next-gen Nuvella Performance Fabric, even the most stubborn stains come out without a struggle. Shop next-gen Nuvella.
Just my favorite snack. Super loaded, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. The next category is grilled cheese. And of course, the most viewed grilled cheese recipe on the internet is by Chef Tyler. As soon as you see this thumbnail, you think to yourself, I have got to try it.
I present to you the world's thickest grilled cheese sandwich. Would you look at that?
I would, and I can't stop looking at it. That's the only type of cheese pull that we allow on this channel. If only Michelangelo was as talented as Chef Tyler, maybe David wouldn't have the envy. I was debating between this one and the Gordon Ramsay one, but I feel like so many people made fun of him, and he did a redemption, so we shouldn't grill his ass anymore. Speaking of which, this is ready to be grilled. First, we'll spread on some I Give a Second Chance to QP mayo. This looks not family friendly. 2 slices of monster cheese, put on a pan with some butter till golden brown. The cheese didn't melt, so we're gonna have to have a little assistance from the blowtorch. The best side, we can't really toast it in the pan, so we're gonna give it the same treatment. This is such a creative recipe. How did Tyler just pull it out of his ass like that? Taste questionable, but this is definitely the best cake we've made on this channel. We're on our way to get some meatball sub, a deli in the West Village. I live on the Lower East Side, so I keep forgetting how nice and fancy other parts of the city are. Like everybody just enjoying their day hanging outside. They're really popular in this neighborhood. But here's the catch. This sub is $12, but if you want these 2 slices of cheese, it's $2 extra. Who gets a meatball sub with no cheese? You know what I mean? The craziest part is an extra napkin costs $1. I always tip if I'm given the option to, but it's so difficult after seeing the napkin charge. The marinara sauce smells like instant ramen seasoning, like the Indomie one. Flavors are good, but the balls are cold. The bread's so stale, it tastes like it spent the night in my grandma's basement. I'm not gonna rate it because I feel like they're having an off day, so it's not fair. But these meat and vegetables have been sitting out for 30 minutes. Now I'm concerned for my health. Next comes the chili feastgate. Hands down the best American sandwich. We're using a recipe from Joshua, starting with the hoagie bread, which is what's classically served on. Generally harder than a sub and is usually cold, but Papa's recipe is really European. It's more similar to a baguette, you'll see what I mean. So half the recipe is 1.5 grams of yeast and 294 grams of water. The water should be around body temperature when you have a fever. 475 grams of bread flour. I don't have that, so I'm using all-purpose. When it's named all-purpose, I gotta use it for all purposes. It's like Head and Shoulders. It's even got the same color theme going on. 10 grams of salt and 6 grams of sugar. 25 grams of extra virgin olive oil. I didn't realize mine is garlic flavored, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. We'll dump the dry ingredients in, whisking the olive oil, and then dumping all the yeast water. You gotta get all up in there in that dough. It's gonna take us a long time to knead. I'm not gonna use a stand mixer because I don't believe in unnecessary kitchen tools. Cover and rest for 15. Now it should be a little more pliable. We'll just take it out and slap it onto the work surface and fold it over. They call it the slap and fold. It's supposed to help with gluten development. You see how smooth it is now? It's pretty magical. We'll cover it back up for another 15. Finally, we'll cover it with a bowl for about an hour. Now, here's where I'm gonna deviate from the recipe. I'm told to divide it into 400-gram pieces, put it in an oiled up container, and ferment it for 3 days. I don't really have time for that, so I'm just gonna let one ball ferment for 3 days and the other one in room temperature for 3 hours. After 3 hours, it should be really easy to work with now. We'll push it down a little bit and fold it from one end to the other, and do it again. This is how we turn the dough into a sandwich shape. We'll pinch down the ends and then sharpen the edges a little bit. Doesn't really look like hoagie bread at all. It's literally a baguette. We're supposed to roll it in sesame. I'm just gonna sprinkle on top. Cover the dough again and let it rest for 2 hours. This is taking a whole day. I'm gonna put this somewhere else. Finally comes the time to bake. We're sprinkling the peeler with rice flour because apparently it's the best one for non-sticking. We'll roll the dough on there as gently as possible. And at this point, I forgot to mention, your oven should be preheating at 450 or as high as possible for about an hour. We'll spray it intermittently for 3 times every 2 to 3 minutes in the beginning to get it to have a better crust. Also, I totally forgot to score it before it cooks. A little too much rice flour, I think. We'll just shake it off and let it cool on the side while we prepare the cheese steak part. What is this, you ask? It's my deli slicer. I was super into wholesale cured meat back in 2022, so I got this on Amazon. The machine's pretty small, so I had to cut this New York strip in half. We're aiming for about 1/8 of an inch. This slicer actually appeared in one of my first videos ever on this channel. I'm glad you guys never saw it. We don't have a griddle, so we're using the biggest stainless steel pan and letting the meat sit on there for a really long time to develop color. Once the onions are mixed in, you can turn off the heat now. We don't want to overcook the meat. This is the last little bit of the Swiss never-ending raclette, but don't worry, we're gonna get more very soon. On top of that, we're gonna put in 2 slices of Monster for the cheese pull, again with the help of the blowtorch.
I don't think they'll take that here.
Of course they take Discover. It's accepted in 99% of places.
Church's Texas 2-piece feast. Fuel for the soul, grub for the grind. Starting at $3.49.
This is freshly baked bread. I feel like we shouldn't toast it. The inside's actually really well cooked. Could be a little more bubbles. This is my first time making fresh bread. Are you guys proud of me? Okay, let's get this thing on there. I'm so excited for this part. Sorry for the humming. It's actually the theme from Rick and Morty. Look at this. I can't believe I actually did it. I was fully expecting a failure. Okay, let's give it a taste and rate 1 through 10. What is better than freshly baked bread? Freshly baked bread loaded with steak and cheese. I've been told that the best cheesecake only has the cheese whiz stuff on top of the beef, but the feet smell of the raclette takes it to another level. Not because I'm into it or anything. This is so extremely rich, the texture is good, it doesn't get better than this. I'm gonna put a little bit of mustard on it. I feel like it needs some type of acidity. Or pickles. If you're from Philly, let me know in the comments if you lost respect for me. Maybe you already did a long time ago, but it's so hard to care when you're mouth full of cheese. This is the best I've ever performed with this much meat in my life, so I'm gonna give it a 9.98. You guys know about my obsession with the Southern culture, so our next recipe is going to be a pork. It's pretty much just a lettuce tomato wrap with fried oysters, but you can do a shrimp too. I kinda exhausted myself with all the effort I put into the chili feast gauge, so this one I'm gonna make it as easy for myself as possible. I'm gonna just air fry these breaded shrimp while cutting tomato slices. I forgot to buy bread for this, so I'm gonna just scoop out the inside of the Philly cheesesteak and use it as the we already got some on there, so we're just gonna layer in the lettuce and tomatoes. I just realized these shrimps have tails on them, so we're gonna try not to remove the whole body from the crust. And just stuff everything in there, close it, and it's done. So steamy, let's give it a taste. If I didn't just have one of the best sandwiches of all time, I would be pretty impressed right now. But what makes this sandwich really great is the bread. So I guess it got carried over from the last dish. Considering how easy it was, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. What is more New York than pastrami on rye? I've been here for 2 years now, never visited Cats. I live pretty close. They got famous through this scene.
Yes! 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 I'll have what she's having.
The line always goes around the block. There's never a time where you can just walk in. I found this footage online. This is what they specialize in, hot pastrami. Usually people just ask them on a piece of bread and eat it like that. This video I took on my phone. Look how many people there are. My first time having a Reuben sandwich here. Like my last birthday, the sandwich is loaded with meat. Reuben is a thick layer of pastrami with sauerkraut, cheese, and Big Mac sauce. And this one is a smoked beef tongue sandwich my roommate got because he's insane. So the difference between this and the Texas barbecue we had a few weeks ago is that this is cured, marinated, smoked, and then steamed. And the black outer layer is whereas the Texas one is bark. Woof, woof. This is what it looks like after I took a bite. And this is what my roommate did to it. Looks like he had sex with it. These greener pickles are so bad. I don't understand the appeal. Oh my god, that is a lot of tongue. Kind of like my first kiss. Overall, a great first visit. The wait is shorter than I expected, and the Reuben is a solid 9 out of 10. Our last recipe is a 3-layered sandwich called the Monte Cristo. I think this is what the French toast is supposed to be, and we're using a recipe from Snoop Dogg's cookbook. It's 3 pieces of bread, 2 with mustard and 1 with mayo. This way we can spread it evenly without dirtying any additional utensils. The mustard one is going to be on the side, and the mayo is going to be in the middle. On each piece, 2 slices of ham and a slice of cheese. I'm using mine for it. Why did I have to make the ham pieces so big? I don't know how to put it in portion of white. You see these cheeses fit perfectly. In the process of layering everything up, I noticed the problem. If there are 3 pieces of bread and all 3 of them have toppings on it, then we need a 4th piece of bread to close it up. But the recipe didn't specify which topping faces who. So the only way this could work is having the top or bottom layer really thick. Not the type of thick with 2 C's and but it's pretty impressive. Let's see if the Monte Cristo can handle the pressure from my meat press. I just forgot the most important part of the sandwich. Like I mentioned before, this is like a French toast. That's because after stuffing all the ham and cheese in it, we're supposed to dip it in the egg, milk, and sugar mixture, and then pan fry the whole sandwich together like we do French toast. What is up with the exposure? If you're like a camera person, could you please tell me the footage is blinding me? Wow. First time in this video I didn't burn this bread. I didn't need to be careful with it, because what if I just cover the entire top with Okay, it looks like unfortunately the bread in the center, along with the rest of the ingredients around it, did not get cooked at all. I think what I should have done is sear it on all sides till the color's right, put a press on there and throw it into the oven. But the sides are looking pretty good, but the powdered sugar and the ham sticking out is making me a little concerned, so let's get to the tasting fast. Is this what Snoop Dogg intended it for? You eat a ham and cheese and sniff white powder. If you ever eat this sandwich, don't breathe heavily while chomping it down. So overall, I'm a way of eating ham and cheese if you're getting bored of them. It doesn't taste really good here. I'm gonna give it a 5, but I feel like if I cook it right, it can easily get up to an 8.5. Anyways, hope you liked some of these. Sandwiches are really a testament to everybody's creativity. Speaking of which, remember when I asked you guys what you thought of the idea of me testing out YouTubers' cookbook? Well, it's definitely happening. I'm excited. I'm gonna learn a lot. So let me know your favorite cooking YouTuber. Let me know your second favorite cooking YouTuber, and I'll go acquire their paperback. Alright, thank you.
Get ready for the best summer day in LA with Universal Mega Movie Summer at Universal Studios Hollywood. Because something there's something behind you. Don't miss the all-new Universal Mega Movie Summer starting June 13th through August 10th. UniversalStudiosHollywood.com.
If Ohana means family, then filet de beef en croûte means beef Wellington, and future canoe means... Today we're gonna perform a background check on beef Wellington's whole family, from the grandchild to the creepy uncle. I guess not my usual preference, but let's get the meat wrapping started. The grandchild of the family resembles the big boys, but it lacks substance. I just realized the active cooking time is even less than a hot dog. The doctor I go to in Brooklyn has a private collection that looks something similar to this. The name is Pigs in a Blanket, but we're keeping it kosher here with 100% beef cocktail wiener. It's super slimy. As you can see on my face, the tears are falling down. I just cut the puff pastry a little narrower than the wiener and wrap it with slime and we'll just seal it with some egg wash. Now take the puff pastry and wrap it very tightly around the meat. Spoiler alert, this step is not getting old anytime soon. Egg wash them on the surface one more time into a 375-degree oven for 15 minutes. People in the 1940s just looked at a British sausage roll and said, how can we put less effort into the food so we can get drunk faster? Before you bake a pre-made puff pastry, do you let it proof before baking? The layers look pretty good though. Let's give it a taste and ready into the tin. It looks like the grandchild of the beef Wellington, but it tastes like an immediate relative of the hot dog. It's a pretty good appetizer, 7 out of 10. So it tastes way better with ketchup. This ketchup is looking a little weird. Before we jump to the rest, let's take a look at the real deal. After all, this is the head of the household, the Jerry Smith of C-137. We're gonna start by salting the entire surface of the fillet and let it dry in the fridge overnight, or at least an hour. Then we're gonna hand chop some portobello mushrooms. I learned that in Italian, portobello means the beautiful portal. A couple cloves of garlic and a small bunch of thyme. You just gotta stroke the stem a lot to get it to release its flowers. Some black pepper and it's done. You really want some shallots in there, but I don't have any, so I'm just chop it up like that. In the largest saute pan, we're gonna get a decent amount of oil in. We wanna get the oil to be really hot because the drier the duxelle, the easier it is to wrap. To To make up for the lack of shallots, I'm gonna add a lot of the truffle powder from Trader Joe's, along with some of that Your Sister sauce. Stir everything together till it looks like a dry, wet sand. They call this the duxelle, and the drier it is, the easier to wrap. We'll just put it in a bowl to cool for now. This is our last component before the wrapping. People always say you gotta sear the meat to seal in all the juices, but I don't think it works like that. I think the searing before cooking meat is mostly for flavor. Now we're just brushing on a layer of Dijon mustard, aka the only spice in English cuisine. I just realized besides salt and pepper, nothing else is gonna be added to the dish. But there's a secret ingredient to every great beef Wellington, and my secret ingredient today is love.
Picture perfect, you don't need no filter.
Every chef on YouTube that I saw use crepes to wrap it first to prevent juice runoff. What's up with the searing to lock in the juices, bro? And Babish used spring roll wrappers, which I had some in my freezer. It looks like it caught some type of infection. I feel like to achieve the same effect, you can use anything made with flour. Next time, we're gonna try with Wonder Bread. A layer of prosciutto. And at this point, the mushroom duxelle should be cooled. We'll spread a layer on top. Now the fillet should be in position towards the end at the bottom. I will lift up the plastic foil, stick into the work surface a little bit, and just gently roll it forward and press and squeeze the fillet to make sure everything sticks to it tightly. We'll do it one more time just to seal the end, roll it forward to get into a cylinder, and finally just pick up the ends and twist it to get it to close. There's a lot of space on the side. That never happens to other people. It looks like a giant candy in a wrapper with mold growing on it. I'm gonna just cut them off with my scissors. It pooped out a lot of duxelle. You can just put it in the trash bag. To completely secure it, we're gonna wrap it one more time horizontally and vertically. This thing got really heavy. We'll put it in the fridge for now till everything's settled into each other. This is like a newborn baby. Speaking of which, I'm gonna show you guys a real footage of my older sister holding me when I was born. So I guess it's a face reveal.
Exfoliate and moisturize.
Je charge une boîte à mitraille.
Old Spice.
Allez, allez, allez!
Look how friendly he looks. We're besties.
And here comes the final wrapping session. Not of the day, only of this dish. After defrosting the pastry sheet, we'll roll it out a little bit. I used to not do this, and it always gets too puffy. We'll put the meat in the middle and egg wash for the rest of the surface. And before we roll it up, I want to thank today's sponsor, BetterHelp. To emphasize the importance of mental health, I'd like to share a personal story. Around 2018 was the worst year of my life. I was a junior in high school and I lived an extremely rebellious and irresponsible life. After a series of poor academic decisions, I ruined my chances with college applications. So the following year during the application season, it was hard for me to see my friends turn toward their exciting new chapters in life. I felt like I got left behind. The feeling of inadequacy haunted me, and my hopeless outlook on life made any silence unbearable. That's when I realized it's wise to talk to a licensed therapist and unload some of the burden I put on myself. Sometimes a new perspective is all you need. BetterHelp is an approachable way to start your first session of therapy. The app is easy to navigate and helps to connect you to the right therapist based on your personalized needs. In most cases, you'll get matched within 48 hours or less after filling out the questionnaire. You're able to choose the time and format that's the most convenient for you. Sometimes I don't feel like being on camera for an online chat, so the text or call option will be great alternatives. Even if you don't think it's the right fit, you have access to over 30,000 therapists that you can switch to with no additional cost. So if you think therapy might benefit your mental state, click this link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/futurecanoe. You'll get a special discount off your first month of therapy if you do. We want to egg wash every little bit to make our lives easier. Similar to before, we'll pick up the bottom and squeeze and pinch it together. Make sure there's no air in between and roll it all the way. And for the ends, this time, I'm not gonna twist it because I'm afraid that it's gonna get ugly. I'm gonna just fold it in like a Christmas gift. A lot of egg wash in there so we don't have to worry about it popping open. Egg washing it one more time to give it the best color. We should have done it with all yolk, but I didn't want to waste any. Figuring out what to do with leftover egg wash is super annoying. And to make it look pretty prettier, I'm gonna put on top these little braids that I made. I think the best looking is one of those fishnet looking thing, but I don't have the tool for it, so we're just gonna settle with the feminine option. Now we'll egg wash everything one more time, draw some lines on there with a paring knife, anything to make it look less like a sausage roll. Topping off with black pepper, and if you have flaky salt, just throw some of that on there too. We'll stick a thermometer into the middle and into a 375-degree oven for about 25 minutes. You want to take it out when the thermometer reads 108 because it's gonna carry over cooking to 125. I guess the scoring on the surface all disappeared, but it's looking pretty good. Call me Max Miller because we're about to give it a taste of this history. I'm not sure this is reliable, but apparently this dish originated from the household of the first Duke of Wellington, Arthur Wellesley, after his victory at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. His personal chef cooked this up in the kitchen in celebration. Because he loved it so much, people named this dish after him, the Duke of Wellington. The chef that created the dish went on to live a really fulfilling life with wife and kids and moved to Scotland, where his great-great-grandson played soccer and went on to be a judge on MasterChef. True story. Speaking of family line, here are two members that we just made. They seem like they can make a really good team. I'm gonna name them Rick and Morty.
What's poppin'? Brand new whip, just hopped in. I got options. I can pass it like Stockton.
I rested it for about 20 minutes. When I took out the thermometer, the juice started running off. But that's a problem lower on the priority list. The main question is, did I overcook it? Let's give it a look.
It's fucking raw!
It's beautifully pink. The only problem I see is how much juice is running off. I suspect that is because I was too lazy to make the crepes and I used spring roll wrapper. They're too thin to hold the juice in. Because last time when we cooked beef Wellington, there was almost no runoff. I mean, it was actually really raw, so that might be the case. Right before I took out the thermometer, the carryover cooking took it from 108 to 130. A lot higher than I expected, so it's more of a medium at this point. Overcooking it by a few degrees combined with the spring roll wrapper being too thin resulted in the soggy bottom pastry sheet. And this sauce I'm putting on top is just premium demi-glace with wine and beef stock. Actually, who am I kidding? It's just water. I don't have beef stock. So after this uncomfortably close shot of the cutting, let's give it a taste and rate 1 through 10. All the components in there, filet, prosciutto, mushroom, they all taste good. But when you put them together in the same dish, there's a sense of detachment. You know how for a salad to be great, it needs to come together as one dish rather than an assortment of vegetables? All the ingredients here are kind of like that. They're not melting together into the same dish. But it could be one of two reasons. First, I didn't cook it right. Second, I'm too much of a peasant to appreciate the food of a duke. Look how soggy the bottom get after a while. Overall, I think this attempt is still better than our last one, so I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. The immediate relative of the beef en croûte must be the pâté en croûte. And when I looked online, one of the only places in New York that has pâté en croûte right now is the Boucherie in West Village. Last time we came to the West Village, we got charged $1 for a napkin, so I'm not excited to go there. This place seems like where Finance Trust Fund 65 Blue Eyes take their first dates. As soon as I sat down, I've been told that they no longer sell pâté en croûte, and instead they offer me the pâté de campagne. I don't know what that is, but it sounds good enough. But the thing is, everything sounds better in French, you know. To my understanding, pâté en croûte means like a paste in crust, and it's not like a pleasant paste, it's a meat paste in crust. But when you say pâté en croûte, it sounds delicious. So it's pretty much all about how you name things. So to up the class of our community, I encourage you to call my food poulet radioactive. After some bread that they stole from the Cheesecake Factory, the pâté showed up.
Ooh, I don't think they take that here.
Of course they take Discover. It's stuck in the past, baby.
You're the one who owns 13 pairs of parachute pants?
And these are my 14th.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places nationwide.
With Ashley's next-gen Nuvella Performance fabric, you can relax. These pieces are easy to
It's not on a coat. It's not even covered, bro. I should have taken a photo of this. All I remember from the class is I put around it. You guys like it? The meat jelly on top of this, real appetizing. So it's cool. I've never been listed in the dictionary, but I think From now on, I'm gonna call spam pate de magasin. This next one is gonna be a big one. This is a hot pocket of pizza. The pizza pocket, born and raised in New Jersey, been to Italy twice, now claims to be Italian in all aspects of life, but still holds a blue passport. This dough I'm using right here is from a week ago when we made the It's been fermenting in my fridge for more than a week. It smells a little sour, so we'll just call it a sourdough hot pocket. After flattening the dough a little bit, we'll take a piece of string cheese, press it in there, a few slices of pepperoni, and all we need to do here is just to close it up. It's just like a mini calzone. I think the actual hot pocket is more of an unleavened flatbread. In the highest temperature of the oven, 450 for 12 minutes. These hot pockets are making potatoes ashamed of representing themselves. They look more like potatoes than potatoes. The dough came out pretty well last week. This looks like one of those baked potatoes that's really well done, like tinfoil wrapped, roasted on an open fire. As always, let's cut it open and inspect the cross section. It looks a little undercooked towards the center, but at least it looks much more like a hot pocket now. It's a hot pocket full of undercooked pizza ingredients. 5 out of 10. It must be the uncle from Boston because we have some Atlantic salmon over here. This is probably the closest relative because it looks just like a beef Wellington. We're gonna wrap it in pastry sheet exactly like the way we did with the fillet. To make the filling, once again we gotta heat up a saute pan with oil. Half a chopped onion to get some color on there. We're baking it again later, so you don't have to worry about it that much. 8 ounces of spinach and 2 cloves of garlic. I ran out of garlic, so I'm just gonna do the spinach and onion. Once the wilting's almost done, we'll turn off the heat and put in some chopped parsley and dill, along with a block of cream cheese, and stir that in. The spinach is gonna release some water, so if it gets too thin, you can either add more cream cheese or add some breadcrumbs into it. Time to wrap again. We'll season the salmon fillet with both salt and pepper and start laying down a bed of the spinach cheese mixture. Put the salmon on top and cover it completely. Mine's getting a little loose, but I don't feel like fixing it right now. Egg wash everything and everywhere and pick up the ends, fold it over like a pierogi. Then use a ligma fork to press out the patterns like a Jamaican beef patty. And I feel like Jamaican beef patty is also a variation of the beef Wellington. I grew up in an area in Boston with a lot of Jamaican communities. I'll take you on a beef patty tour in the future. At this point, you really should be egg washing the whole thing, but as a theme on this channel, do what I say, not as I do. Into the oven at 350 for 35 minutes. You know, maybe we didn't need the egg wash after all. This is pretty good color. Not so nervous about this part because we're not trying to get medium rare or anything. But how is it that there's no runoff in this one when the filling is significantly more liquidy than the beef Wellington? And there's no crepes or anything to catch it. Even the bottom of the crust stayed crispy. We even directly laid everything on top of the pastry sheet. So let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. By the way, did you know that this is the second time we've had fish on this channel? The first time was 2 weeks ago and it didn't go so well. But anyways, this is such a nice dish with the salmon, spinach, and cheese. Without the puff pastry is like the pinnacle of healthy food. Might sound crazy, but I like this better than the beef Wellington. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Look over here, we're doing more spinach, stuffing them all into a tiny pot. It's gonna shrink a lot when it's heated, so the opposite. We'll blanch it for less than 2 minutes and take it out into an ice pack. Let it cool on the side while we chop up the rest of the vegetables, which is 2 cloves of garlic, half an onion, a small bunch of parsley, and some dill. Mince them finely and put everything into a bowl, in which we'll add in 3 rooster eggs and 6 ounces of Greek feta. This step is fairly important. We have to make sure we get the every last drop of water out of the spinach. Now just mix everything together with the tool that's most comfortable to you. We've dealt with phyllo once before when we made the baklava, but it was mostly sugar and nuts, so this should be more difficult. We'll lay each individual pieces of phyllo into the baking dish and brush each layer in between with oil. There are quite a lot of layers and they keep tearing up like low quality paper towels. After a few sheets laid in, we'll pour in our filling, and on top of that, back it again with some phyllo sheets. Today, I think I learned something about myself. I don't like no phyllo sheets, yo. Or you can say, I don't phyllo working with phyllo. I topped it with some dried oregano, which is not a cold word for weed. One final brush of oil, $3.75 for $40. Knock knock. Who is there? Fitness. You guys can finish the rest in the comments. You know, I really remember spanakopita to be a lot thicker than this, but I guess it just means spinach pie. So why did the bottom of this one get completely soggy? It's literally 80% of the similar ingredients as the salmon on croup. The top is not really crispy either. I think we're gonna approach it from a new angle by attacking the right angle, because if it's not the right angle, it's the wrong angle. Anyways, I'm gonna take a bite now.
Things are getting saucy at Urban Plates. Try our new grilled steak with spicy teriyaki, chimichurri grilled chicken, or salmon with creamy tzatziki. Everything's made from scratch, and our prices won't break the bank. Order today. 10 plates.
Unbeatable performance! That's why I love Copper Tone Sport. It helps protect me from UV rays.
So just like my dad's attitude towards his romantic life, what's on the side is always better. Even with that, it's a 6 out of 10. After Italian and Japanese, now I'm on the kill list of Greek grammars. To end everything on a good note, our last recipe is a sweet relative. The Pop-Tart is the older sister of the Hot Pocket. More popular, but more toxicity as well. We're gonna start by making a simple pie dough. 1 cup and 1/4 of flour, some sugar and salt, and 1/4 cup of butter. In the instructions it said a simple pie dough can just be blended up together. When the butter is pretty much in small pieces, we'll add in 3 tablespoons and a half of ice water. Once we dump it onto a work surface, we should be able to easily knead it together. This ain't easy at all, but we're gonna keep going. With a scoop of strawberry jam in the middle, we're gonna take the other half and just close it together. Okay, you know what? Besides phyllo dough, I also don't like simple pie dough. Coming back to the reliable option of puff pastry, it's gonna be the best option because I didn't make it. We'll close it up and pinch the sides just like a regular Pop-Tart. Just because one looks better and one does not, we're not gonna treat it any different. We're gonna egg wash both of them with love, put it in the oven at 375 till they're golden. You see, this side, it looks really nice, like a fancy Pop-Tart. But when I rotate it, I can't see that suddenly I feel like a pastry cake. It's way too fast. The cross section doesn't even exist. When I opened it, it was like making a lesson. The plain baked puff pastry is still pretty enjoyable. And the simple pie dough one looks like a simple pie. When I spit it out towards the middle, it's... Anyways, I made this video to sort of demonstrate how integrated dishes are. Different cuisines might share similar techniques and flavor profiles. If you're intimidated by a complex dish like the beef Wellington, just think of it as a pigs in a blanket with extra layer. The same principle applies to life. To dream big, you gotta start small. You may all be pigs in a blanket right now, but you're gonna turn into beef Wellington in no time. And today, there's something small that you could start with, maybe subscribe. Alright, thank you.